Y'all, I just wanted to make some quick corrections. I'm probably not correcting everything. I heard several grammatical errors as usual. I'm not a good public speaker. But I did want to just correct at least 3 grammatical errors that really irritated me. I want to correct those real quickly and then apologize for any other grammatical errors that you all hear in the next 2 clips. So in the next 2 clips, you all will hear me documenting reactive abuse and more gang stalking activity, some activity that took place today before I went to the basketball court. And then I briefly mentioned something that happened the other morning at work when I was listening to a song, and then received some sort of retribution for listening to that song. So that's basically what I'm documenting in the next 2 clips. But I made some grammatical errors that I want to correct. So you're going to hear the corrections here, and it's going to seem confusing. Obviously, you haven't heard the video yet. But I want you to take these corrections and apply it to the next clip, the next 2 clips. So I wanted to correct 3 things. One of the things that I say is these 2 thumbnails are the targeted individual program. And that's in the next clip. Like, you're going to hear it close to the beginning. I said these 2 thumbnails is what I said. I said these 2 thumbnails is the targeted individual program, and I meant to say are. And then the second thing I wanted to correct, I said a lot of the things they accuse you of is typically the things they are guilty of. I didn't mean to say is, I meant to say are. A lot of the things they accuse you of are typically the things they are guilty of. And then the last thing I said, and it led to me having this reaction in my car where I started thinking everyone was bitches. I meant to say everyone were bitches. That's the correction. So those are the 3 corrections there, y'all. Apply it to where it applies when you hear the next 2 clips. It will make sense when obviously you hear the context of the video. All right, y'all. Talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Y'all, with that, I don't need to explain this. You'll hear it in the next clip. And also, if you've been keeping up with my videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. But when I say thought everyone were bitches, remember with the neuro monitoring technology, I've shown y'all the research for this technology, and I have links in the description box where you can check out videos about this technology. But remember, with this technology, your thoughts are being projected to everyone around in real time. So that's what I was talking about, thought projection, and me having an angry reaction where I was thinking angry thoughts, and those thoughts were being projected. So anyways, check out the next clips, y'all, and you'll hear the video. Talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, and links that lead to videos that talk about the technology used on targets, information about the targeted individual program, and just documentation and research that I've collected and put together in videos over the course of the last 2 years. Because although I've been targeted since 2020, I did not learn that I was a target until the end of 2022. And that was when I started doing research, that was when I started making videos, etc., etc. So please don't start here if you're new to my channel. Please check out those links, y'all. I also have links that lead to videos where I tell my story. I think I said that already. I'm tired, y'all. If I did say that, excuse the redundancy. Please check out those videos, though, y'all. And don't start here, because you will be lost. I will reference things I've talked about in prior videos, and I do use targeted individual jargon, so terms that are specific to this community. All right, guys. It's not going to be a long video. Just want to document what took place today. It's more targeted individual, reactive abuse, harassment, and gaslighting. I have several videos that I've recently posted about reactive abuse, y'all. I see y'all have been viewing. Thank you for the support. For those of y'all that leave comments, and for those of you that have been watching, I appreciate it. So far, I've posted 3 reactive abuse videos recently, documenting reactive abuse. So for the last 2 weeks, I've been posting. I posted 2 reactive abuse videos, And I even posted a stop gang stalking me video where I was documenting, again, reactive abuse and just gang stalking activity. Anyways, y'all, I just want to talk about what happened today. And actually, this video, I won't say that it's not going to stay up. I am planning to keep this video up on my channel, but I'm not planning to keep it public. Right now, I'm content with the 3 reactive abuse videos that I have. And I'm not going to make it this habitual thing of recording every time I get harassed and then I have a reaction and then I get gaslit and ganged up on for my reaction. So this is not going to be a habitual thing, because you will lose your mind if you constantly are reacting to what's taking place, because that's the intention. If you check out my part 3 video, y'all will see I shared a thumbnail of a picture of what the intent is with the program, or what the objective is. So if you're foolish enough to fall victim to this thing and really fall into what the intention is or what the objective is, you'll lose your mind, because every day you will be making videos pulling your hair out, feeling like you're going crazy. Or if you're not making videos, you might just be having these crazy reactions and losing your mind. And the answer and the key is to not be reactive to what's taking place. I've already learned, I've been in this thing long enough at this point, 4 years now, going strong. And at this point now, 2 years of knowing that I'm targeted. So it's just, I understand now how the program is designed. I understand what the objective is, and I understand what to do from what not to do. So when I have moments like today, it's like I get angry at myself. So I just want to document it. I'm documenting it for my own just record. Yeah, I told y'all this already. I don't just make the videos to help other targets, to let y'all know what you can do and what works and what doesn't work. Trial and error. Because if we all do trial and error and document our experience and the things that work and the things that don't work and the things that we've learned, then this is how we can together collaboratively survive this thing, because it is a collaborative effort against us. That's why it works for targets. It's like everyone, let me not say everyone. When I say everyone, I just mean like a large group of people. It's not everyone. Not everyone gets involved. Everyone is typically watching, but not everyone gets involved. But it's enough people involved to tear down one person. So you have so many people involved and they gang up against this one individual, and it's like this wolf type mentality where they're trying to eat this one sheep. Like, that's kind of what it is. Anyway, so if we kind of get together as targets and share what we've been through and what works and what doesn't work, that's how we can survive this thing. Anyway, so let me talk about what happened today, y'all, though. I'm not keeping this video up. I was saying that to say I am keeping it up. I'm keeping it up for my own documentation purposes, just keeping a paper trail of the things that have been taking place and different tactics being used and etc., but I won't keep it public. I am planning to make this private. I'll probably keep it public for like a week, and I'm going to make it private, not keeping that one visible. I have enough, like I said, reactive abuse videos, but I will keep it up for a week so y'all can hear what's going on. Anyways, let's talk about what took place today, y'all. I'm tired. I'm tired, y'all. Y'all, I'm still struggling. I'm still trying to get a second job. Currently working in security, as you all know. I'm working 34 hours, working the night shift. My days are free. For now, I am planning to go back to school and, like I said, trying to get a second job. But for now, what I do during the daytime is I work out. This is how I keep myself occupied. This is how I keep sane. Because it's like 24/7 assault and harassment and being stared at. Can you imagine that? Like, not one moment of peace. You have everyone around. It's such a sadistic, torturous program. You have everybody around staring at you 24/7. You don't get not one moment of peace. Even in those little private moments that people would feel embarrassed about other people seeing, you have people in your personal space staring at you, hearing every conversation. And then it's not even like they're just staring at and staying quiet about what they're seeing. They're judging you and looking for reasons to get angry. It's so irritating. And then also doing noise campaigns to harass you while they're staring at you. It's a very comprehensive psychological warfare program, and it's been around for decades. Let's go to the picture real quick, y'all. Reactive abuse is, y'all. Reactive abuse, as y'all can see the thumbnail for the other videos. I will make it the thumbnail for this video also. But again, like I said, this video is going to be private. So I'm not even going to make this like a part 4 to those other 3 reactive abuse videos I made. I don't know what I'm going to title this, but I will make this the thumbnail. Reactive abuse occurs when the victim reacts to the abuse they are experiencing. The victim may scream, toss out insults, or even lash out physically at the abuser. The abuser then retaliates by telling the victim that they are in fact the abuser. That is how this program works, y'all. You see this phrase right here? This and the next thumbnail I'm about to show you all. These two thumbnails is the targeted individual program, just so you understand. They harass you all day long, and they do these covert and sometimes overt harassment tactics. You have a human response and you get angry. You finally snap after dealing with it all day. You might think a few nasty thoughts, and then they all start revving by and jumping on you and ready to attack you. And then you get more angry, and then they jump on you more. Like, it's a satanic program. I'm telling y'all, right? Let me show y'all the other picture. This is the other one, y'all. This is the real deal here. Organized stalking is a form of, and notice the bold words, y'all. There's a reason those words are in bold. Because there's a lot of hypocrisy with the program, too. A lot of the things that they'll accuse you of or throw at you is typically the things that they are actually guilty of. Terrorism. This is terrorism. What they're doing to you is terrorism. They are actually terrorizing you. They're terrorizing you all day long. This is terrorism. Organized stalking is a form of terrorism used against an individual in a malicious, yes, because the intent is malicious, attempt to reduce the quality of the person's life so they will have a nervous breakdown, because eventually, this is what I'm talking about, y'all, like days like today or days like the other day where I was at work, right, y'all, doing the night shift. Not going to go into the details about this too much, but I want to talk about this real quick because I did kind of make a video about this, and similar to this video, I intended to post it on my channel, keep it up for a few days, and then make it private, but I ended up just scrapping the video altogether because I ended up kind of revisiting a situation that they've been trying to reignite for the longest, and I was like, you know what, let me just delete that shit. I don't even want that shit on my channel. I don't even want to bring that any attention to that thing. I'm not going to go into the details about it because, again, then it would be counterproductive me deleting it. But understand, I was at work and I was looking at videos on YouTube, and eventually what happened is I saw, like, you know how when you're recommended, you might see a video and it might lead to you looking up another video and then you end up on another video, etc., etc. That's basically what happened the other night at work, or morning, I should say. I worked the night shift, but typically it's like morning hours. I go in from 12 a.m. I get off at 6 a.m. I was in my news feed, and they sent me like a group of friends in a room, and they were doing a cover, right? So y'all know what a cover is, I'm sure, where you sit around and you sing along to a song, right? So you do your version of a song. So they were in there and they're singing and going ham, like they could really sing. Talented group of people, man. And you know how sometimes that happens, like people that know how to sing or rap, they might get together and have friends that have that in common, and they rap together, do freestyles together, or they sit around and they start singing together because they can sing. They threw that in my news feed. So somebody was doing like a cover to Silk, and I don't know if y'all are familiar with Silk. This is irrelevant, but that's like a 90s. It's irrelevant, but it's not. It's kind of relevant to what ended up happening and what led to me playing the song that I ended up playing, and then the gang stalkers glaring at me and terrorizing me when I went in the store. So anyways, and then it led to me having this reaction in my car where I started in my head thinking everybody was bitches. Anyway, so Silk, they were doing a cover to Silk, and Silk is a group from the 90s, y'all. Most of the music from the 90s, the R&B music, you know, was love music. It's either a heartbreak song or it's like some sort of like love music, you know, that type of thing. It might have like some sort of sexual innuendo or connotation going on, right? That's just how it is. That's what was going on, right? It was a Silk song. They were covering Meeting in My Bedroom. There's a meeting. I can't sing, y'all. In my bedroom. Blah, blah, blah. If you're from the 90s, you're familiar, right? Anyway, so they were covering that song. I didn't really care about the content. I'm 32. If a song plays and it has that type of content in it, I'm not going to fly and take it off. I'm not a child. And just because you're looking doesn't mean that I'm going to now turn myself into a child and make sure that everything I'm watching is PG. You're sitting home watching whatever you want, farting, shitting, watching whatever you want. I'm sure sometimes you're watching porn, and I have to sit here and filter myself because you're staring at me. It's irritating, and I'm not doing it. So anyways, Silk that song came on and they were covering Soak. And I was like, damn, they can sing. I was like, this is nice. I was like, wait a minute. I said, they're kind of reminding me of this group I like to listen to. It was like these two people. They were like teens at the time when I used to listen to them. This guy named Broadway and this girl named Dondria. And back in high school and in my early 20s, I used to listen to them. And similar to this group of friends that they threw randomly in my newsfeed on YouTube, they used to do the same thing, cover like R&B songs and just go ham in the video. Like they could really sing, like a cappella. They didn't even need a beat. And so I was like, wait a minute, they kind of reminded me of Dondria and Broadway. I haven't listened to them in forever. So I typed in Dondria and Broadway, right? And I listened to a couple of their songs. And as I'm listening and I'm just thinking about and reminiscing about the fact that I used to listen to them, they're doing a bunch of noise campaign and stupidness in the background and trying to create a narrative as usual. So I'm ignoring them. I'm just listening to the songs they're singing. And I was like, wait a minute, these are some good songs. Let me add some of these to my playlist. So I went over to my music app, my download app. It's called Treble. It doesn't matter. I went over there and I started looking up some of the songs they were singing. And so as I'm looking up the songs, I ended up coming across an artist that I used to listen to prior to my targeting going viral. So this was in 2022. Before I tried to relocate off island, I used to listen to her. I used to jam her in my car. I had a playlist in my car. And I used to just hook it up to my phone. I didn't even have to deal with the radio. It's so annoying because actually now when I could actually use having a car and having access to my phone and listening to my playlist rather than the radio, now when they're actually using shadow networking technology on me and, you know, playing songs with subs in it on the radio, now is the time when I don't have a car and I don't have access to, you know, whatever, an aux cord to hook up my playlist. It sucks. But back in 2022, before I tried to relocate off island, when I was targeted, but it wasn't viral yet, and they weren't using the shadow networking software on me, so they weren't, you know, interfering with the radio and the technology and all this weird stuff that they do now. Back then, I used to blast this girl in my car. Her and a bunch of other people. Like, there's all kinds of music I like to listen to. There's a lot of music I like to listen to that I don't listen to now because I feel like they're gonna create narratives from it and jump on top of me. This is the level of irritation with the program. They can sit back and listen to whatever the hell they want to in their vehicle. But the moment you play something that they want to create a narrative about, they will be on top of you, glaring at you about the music that they're listening to, that you're listening to, that they shouldn't be listening to. And don't expect you to get blue vex about it. So anyways, I was just looking up songs to put on my playlist. And I came across this girl. Her song actually showed up. I typed in a whole different artist. I typed in Ari Lennox. And this girl, I know that's random, y'all, but I'm just saying. I typed in this person, and a bunch of her songs started popping up. And then randomly, this other girl I used to listen to popped up. And I said, whoa, I haven't listened to her in forever. And the song that I had for her on my playlist actually didn't pop up. Instead, it was a different song for her that popped up. So I was like, wait a minute, I used to have a song for her on my playlist. I was like, but I don't remember the name of it. So I took her name and I typed her name in and I started looking through the songs that popped up. And the one with the red line on it, indicating that I had viewed that video before, I knew had to be the song. So I clicked on it and I listened to it. And I realized that the song was probably problematic. Not because it's a problem for me, a 32-year-old woman, to listen to it, but because I know what the gang stalkers do. So immediately I was like, oh, I said, I forgot the lyrics. I said, oh, okay, so this is the song. I was like, oh. And they started, you know, revving up and going ham in the background. When I said, oh, so this is the song, they started revving and going crazy in the background. Now, mind you, here's the hypocrisy of the program, and this is why I know they're just doing it to terrorize me. I was in the vehicle with someone in my close circle who was listening to a song similar that actually had more stuff in it than the song I played, but it was a similar type of song. They were not, they were quiet mum. Right? And I thought in my head, I said, wait a minute, they're not making noise for her music, but they're going ham about every song I put on. I said, you stupid girl, they're literally terrorizing you. They're doing this on purpose to make you feel uncomfortable. And so after I made that comment, they stopped. They realized what they were doing was lambasted, and they stopped doing what they were doing. They stopped doing it to a certain degree. They stopped doing it to the extent that they were doing it at. When I made that comparison, after I had sat there and hung out with this person and certain music was playing in her car and they didn't do anything, and I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, they're not doing anything for this, but they're going ham about some of the songs I'm listening to. I'm like, they're terrorizing me. They're doing this on purpose to make me feel uncomfortable. They stopped doing what they were doing, right? For a while. So now back, fast forward to this morning. This was just the other morning, y'all, where this song came on and, you know, this artist popped up when I looked up a different artist. And I looked her up now to figure out what song I had for her on my playlist because I could not remember. They saw this happen. They're watching me like a hawk. This is the most entertaining thing I think going right now in this location. So anyways, I found the song and it had like the red line on it, like I said, and I clicked on it and I listened to it and I was like, ooh, this is a little bit, I don't listen to certain songs I have a very eclectic taste in music. I like a broad range of music, genre, and content. I like so much different types of music, not any one specific thing. And there is a ratchet side to me where there are certain songs I like that's a little bit ratchet, like every other person. I know every other person has that side to them, or they probably, they might not admit it. I know everybody has whatever they like to listen to, right? Like I said, I was in this person in my close circle's car and she had her little thing going too. And I've been in so many people's cars who listen to that type of music every now and then. We all listen to different types of music. Sometimes it's a little rowdy. Sometimes it's a little raunchy. Who cares? I'm a grown 32-year-old woman. So anyways, I heard this song. I was like, ooh, immediately I started thinking of filter, they're listening. So I started going, ooh, they start revving by and going ham. And so that pissed me off. Because I said, wait, why am I going ooh for? And they're listening to, how many of them then drove by me blasting all kinds of nasty music in their car? I'm like, why am I doing this and filtering myself? And I'm a 32-year-old woman and they shouldn't be listening to what I'm listening to anyways. I can listen to what I want to listen to. And so that was where the rebellious side of me started coming out. Because I was actually about to fly and take the song off. And then when they started revving by and doing all the noises, I was like, wait a minute, this is dumb, stupid shit. I'm like, I'm going to play what I want to play. Sorry for the break in the video, y'all. This is hours later now that I'm continuing the video. But I had somebody bust in my room, and as usual, making the video at a certain time in the house was a problem. So now I'm trying to finish up the video now. So anyways, like I was saying, y'all, when they started revving up in the background, because of the song that I was listening to, my initial reaction to take the song off immediately dissipated. And I wanted to play it just in spite, because I knew I have the right to, and they're listening and trying to control what I do when they don't have anyone doing that to them. So I purposely then put the song on repeat. I kept repeating the song on purpose out of anger. So anyways, that really riled them up, y'all. I'm leaving work at this point. I'm locking up the gate. They're revving by and acting crazy. And I had to stop at the store this morning just to get a couple groceries, y'all. Nothing major, like milk. And I think I wanted to get I think I got a box of linguine or something like that. The moment I come out of my vehicle, this lady pulls up next to me and she's pulling her child out the car and she's glaring at me. She has a bonnet on her head. She's glaring at me. I'm like, oh God, are you kidding me? I'm like, this is already the bullshit starting now. Like they're staring at you again, like I said, and judging and trying to control the things you're doing. And if you only tried to do that to them, they would flip out, right? So that was the first thing. I'm like, okay, that put me off. I was already in an irritated mood. Then I'm walking to get the cart. This is before I even get inside the store, y'all. This man comes out the store, this older man. He looks at me and he's staring me down in my face with this kind of like combative look in his face. So I did a double take and I looked at him back. And that's when he turned his face and started to shuffle and go about his business. So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, so this is not going to create something because I was listening to a song, an innocent song, in the privacy of my vehicle at work? So then I go in the store and I'm walking in with the cart. One of the cashiers is glaring at me. There are some construction workers on the line. They're glaring at me. Everybody's glaring at me. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I remember getting so pissed. I started thinking these really nasty thoughts in my head. I hadn't even left the store yet, y'all. Typically when I'm having these nasty kind of reactions, I at least try to wait till I get into my vehicle before I start having the reaction. I couldn't even get into my vehicle. I was so freaking irritated with what was going on. And here's the other gaslighting thing they like to do too, because this is the second time they've made the noise for nasty. Because when I said that, I heard some sort of noise campaign. Remember, they always have noise campaigns going on all around you. What's nasty is you sitting on top of a person and ganging up on the person and doing things to taunt and harass the person and get these wrathful responses, and then gaslighting the person about the wrathful response. That's nasty. So it really upsets me with the hypocrisy of this program. Then you have the gang stalker driving by slowly. All of this is a waste of money. They're wasting so much resources on this stupid thing just to torment and harass somebody they don't like. When you can take all of that money, put it together, and give it to me, so you don't have to keep wasting the money on all of these resources that can be going towards better things that can improve the island. Instead, give me the money, because I know the potential I have. I know the life I lived prior to my targeting, and let me go somewhere else. And don't follow me this time and let me try to be productive elsewhere, because I know there's so many other places on this earth where I can thrive if this shit doesn't follow me. I've been impeded. I lost so many assets due to the targeting. Take all the money you wasted on all these resources, give it to me, just a month worth, right? And then I can go relocate somewhere else. Don't follow me with the shit, with the weird program, and let me start over elsewhere, and then everybody's happy. Then you don't have to creep by in cars and harass me. I don't think so, though. I think they want me to stay here so they can torture me. That's what it feels like. Anyway, so back to what I was saying, though, y'all. It's just the nasty thing triggers me every time, because again, it's just another form of gaslighting and trying to tear you down. So let me continue, though, because it happened earlier too when I was on the basketball court after I had another reaction. The reason I'm making this video in the first place, and I'm listening to one of my songs in my earphones and I'm shooting. They're getting pissed off because I'm making my shots. They're revving by because I'm making my shots. And then something in the song said something about nasty. I hear somebody rev by again and they're just getting worked up just because I'm making my shots. Like, this crazy shit, y'all. I cannot even freaking explain it. Anyway, so back to the story here that happened the other morning when I left work the other morning. That was similar to what happened today. Different scenario, but the same reactive abuse where you're being harassed 24/7. You finally snap and have some sort of nasty reaction. The reaction I'm having is nowhere near as bad as it really could be. I know several people, even in my close circle, that had they been going through what I'm going through, they would have had a way bigger explosion than what I have had. It's crazy to me, y'all. I'm telling you. I see some targets flipping out, like putting their hands on people and stuff because they don't understand how this thing works and that it's designed to get these reactions so that you can get punished more. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying, though. So yeah, back to the other morning, y'all. Let me keep it together. And I also too want to try to hurry up and finish the video because it's actually turning out to be longer than I want it to be. Y'all, I know I said in the beginning I'm not keeping this video public. I'm not sure if I will or not. I know I'm going to post it for sure and it's going to stay posted on my channel. But whether or not I'm going to keep it public or turn it private, I'm not sure anymore, because I do like how it came out and I do like what I had to say. So I'm not sure, y'all, if this is going to stay public or not. So hopefully you do get to see it if I do decide to make it private after a week. Anyway, so I'm in the store and I'm just like getting like freaking pissed, and I'm tired too, y'all, because y'all know I work the night shift, like I said. So it's like there's a level of irritation that comes with that too. It's unnatural for the human body to stay up at night. We're not nocturnal. I was even doing research about this thing because when I first started doing the night shift again at the end of last year, it was really taking a toll on my body. At this point now, my body has started to become somewhat acclimated to doing this. But it's still like this thing where I get moody, and then also too there's the element of just being in this constant state of anger because of the torment and the harassment and the unfair treatment. So it's just a lot going on. And then I believe this morning too I was PMSing. I was my excuse the TMI, y'all, but for those of y'all that have been subscribed, I'm sure you know this about me by now. I've talked about it in several videos, and the fact that typically when my period's coming, that's when some stupid shit with the program happens to make me like have this horrible reaction. There's always something happening with this thing if I'm keeping it real with you, but it always seems like coincidentally right when my period's coming or when it just came, something like super annoying will happen and I'll have this explosive reaction. So a lot was going on that morning, y'all. I had gotten off work, my body was tired. The body's not meant to be up at night. We're not nocturnal, so that crankiness was there. I was PMSing, and then just the annoyance of the program in general. I was in a pissy mood. So I get, after all the glaring and stuff, I'm in the store and I just start cussing in my head. It's not to the point where I'm speaking out loud and sound like a crazy person, because again, that's part of the intent. Sorry, I just had to check and make sure nobody was pulling up. That's part of the intent, is to have you acting like a crazy nut, flipping out and acting crazy, and then gaslight you about what's going on. Anyway, so I wasn't out saying stuff out loud or flipping out. That's never going to be the reaction. But I was thinking nasty thoughts in my head once I walked past all these people that were glaring at me and staring me down. That is so irritating. So I was thinking all these nasty thoughts in my head. And I grabbed the stuff I needed. I got on the line. I noticed one of the girls turned off her light. She had her light on. I get up to the front. Already, this thing being created where, again, it's me. I'm the problem. I'm the bitch. I'm the monster. When, again, I'm just reacting to what's happening to me. So anyway, this girl turned off her light. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. I go to the next light. This girl was actually nice to me. The cashier, I actually feel like my energy was off because of what I was dealing with. And I typically, despite what I'm dealing with all these different people that choose to get involved, if I deal with this one person and I can tell that they're not a part of it, like, they're obviously privy. Everyone's privy to what's going on. But if this person is acting cordial towards me and they're not doing any of the tactics that the gang stalkers do, it doesn't matter how irritated I am with everyone else that chooses to participate, I'm still always going to treat you the way you treat me. So I did feel bad about the fact that my energy was so off in that moment with that cashier, that I'm sure I came across as combative, even though she was actually nice to me. I remember her saying good morning, and I said good morning back in a gruff way, but it was just that I had just walked in and I felt ganged up on. I had all these people glaring at me. Just stupidness, man. Anyway, so she cashed me out. And I left, and I'm in my car, and I just started to flip out in my head. It's not like, I was saying things out loud, but I was cussing in my head. I was calling, the gang stalkers all kinds of different bitches and these stupid bitches, this and that. Whatever I was thinking, man, I was angry. And that was what the reaction was. They got the reaction that morning. They really got it that morning. And so back to that point, y'all. Have a nervous breakdown, because that's somewhat akin to a nervous breakdown. If you're in your head cussing and, throwing out expletives at what would seem like fictitious people, but it's not. It's a real program, and there are real people involved, and they know what they're doing, and they know they're using high science technology to torment you. But that would seem like some sort of nervous breakdown. Or if you sit there and you really truly have a nervous breakdown where you're screaming and you're acting crazy and you're throwing shit and busting shit up, then they can Baker Act you and throw you in a mental asylum, right? And that leads to the next point where it says become incarcerated or institutionalized. Like, you might get so angry that you do some stupid shit, and then they can use something called plausible deniability, where the things that you're saying sound so unreasonable and you can't prove it, although you can provide technology, like what not technology, excuse me. You can provide research to show that this program actually exists. You can provide witness accounts not witness accounts, but you can provide the account of other targets who are going through the same thing as you. And then you can also provide documentation of some of the things taking place, like coincidentally, this ambulance keeps driving by when certain things play on my phone, or coincidentally, I hear a plane sound when certain things are playing on my phone, or coincidentally, the neighbor keeps cutting the grass every time I try to create a video, or coincidentally, every time I'm putting my clothes on after I come out the shower, the neighbor is hammering his hammer, or her hammer, whoever's doing it. You can have, prove these little small minuscule things, but it's like, again, plausible deniability. They can say, okay, well, that doesn't mean anything. You're crazy. Are you okay? Do you need help? Do you need medication? That's not normal what you're saying. So people are following you. Ambulances are following you. Planes are following you. Cars are following you. You're not that important. Why would so many people be following you? You're not that important. Are you okay? And the gaslighting will ensue. And so, again, that can lead to some sort of nervous breakdown and you flipping out, because you know that they know that what you're saying is true, but you can't prove it. And so plausible deniability can be used to paint you as some sort of nut, and then you get institutionalized. Again, you either get Baker Acted and thrown in a mental asylum, or they'll throw your ass in prison because you get so pissed off that you have some sort of physical reaction. So that's what we have listed here. And then the last part I never say, y'all, of course you have become homeless as well, because that's also something that happens to a lot of targets. I keep saying I'm blessed in a way, because my targeting, even though it's so bad, it's not as bad as some other targets who don't have any sort of support system, and then also who have no sort of financial support. For me, at least I have some sort of job. A lot of targets, what will happen is they end up either like me, where you're working like a minimum. I'm not trying to say this to be disrespectful. I try to be careful about the way I say things, because it could lead to problems for me. This is actually a fact. I'm not trying to, come for the job I'm working or say anything disrespectful, because actually, I keep saying this, I've worked security for a number of years. It's usually supplemental income for me. So I usually work it as a second job. I worked it in college. For the 2 years while I was in college, I was a security guard and I was also a substitute teacher. And then after I graduated, when my targeting started in 2020, for those 2 years where I was teaching as an English teacher, I was also a security guard. So there's no disrespect to this profession or this job. And it's not necessarily always a minimum wage job either. Let me just make that clear. There are different levels of security and different pay rates, right? It just depends on what your position is and, maybe the company you're working for, whatever. It depends. There are different pay rates with security. So I'm not coming for that profession, but I'm just letting you know this is just the real. I am working a minimum wage job right now and I'm doing security, and this is kind of what happens with targets. It's either that you're completely ass out and you can't get a job at all, which was me last year, or you're only able to get like minimum wage, low paying jobs. That's typically what happens. And it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter what your resume looks like. It doesn't matter what your education is. They can do this. All they have to do is collaboratively join together and say, hey, we're not going to hire that bitch. Excuse my language. And that's what it is. It doesn't matter what you have going for yourself. You will be the lowest man on the totem pole if they gang together and decide to do this to you. So that's what's going on. And so you can end up being homeless. For me, I'm not homeless, but I'm damn near close. Again, just scraping and scrunting and getting by. And struggling to do so, y'all. Looking into different options. I told y'all last year I even tried to start my own business, so even impede that. I went on Fiverr and I created a writing business. I was trying to become some sort of like editor. I was going to edit papers for college students. I remember when I was on campus, they had this student that was doing it and she was telling me I should get into it. And I was, thinking to myself, I could do this because I remember helping her with some of her papers. And, I'm like, if she can do this, I could definitely do this, right? And she was writing papers for college students. And I'm like, I could do this too. And that's not what I was trying to do last year, by the way, y'all. Because I was a teacher. So it's not like I'm trying to do the work for people and write their papers for them. But I was going to edit their papers for them. And that's what I was trying to do. And then I was also trying to get into transcription. So like, typing business where you type up different things for people. Like, for instance, if somebody has a recording that they want typed up and they're not necessarily a fast typer or they don't have the time to put in, they can pay a transcriptionist to type up that recording for them. They even have court transcriptionists. If you're a fast enough typer, you can be a court transcriptionist. So you can sit there in the courtroom during a trial and type up the whole thing, the whole case, but you have to be real quick. And so I was even looking into that. I was practicing my typing and stuff because I type really fast. I type 65 words per minute. And I was practicing last year. I was trying to get up to 70, 80 just to meet the requirement of, maybe being like a court transcriptionist or something like that. That was impeded. Like all of the opportunities I was trying to get online, those were impeded. Everything, like they block up everything. Even if you try to start your own business, they will even like get into the technology and they'll contact people. And, it's really crazy. I was trying to work virtually. There were a lot of remote jobs available last year. And because of my resume, a lot of them were reaching out to me on Indeed. And you could tell these people were contacting them, whoever runs the program. They were contacting them and the jobs would mysteriously not go through. It'd either be that they contacted me and then all of a sudden I can't hear from them again. They'll tell me that they sent me an email or they called about an interview that I never got. It would just be these weird circumstances that didn't make sense. And so this is what I mean when I say that they cut you off at the knees, and then more gaslighting tease you about the fact that you can't walk. And also why I said it's toxic, because in 2022, before my targeting actually got as bad as it is now, before I had some of those stupid reactions I had when I tried to relocate, right? And then the targeting got worse. Remember, that's what they do. Harass you, follow you, illegal activity. You react. You have these horrible reactions and then more retribution, more punishment. That's what happened when I tried to relocate. Had these stupid reactions, got back and my legs were cut off, basically, figuratively, right? Look at how they're making noise campaign for that. They turned off, there's some generator thing they turn off and on here as a noise campaign. But figuratively, let me be careful with my words, not literally, figuratively, my legs were chopped off. So I ended up back here. And of course, the situation was much worse than prior to my leaving. It was to the point where I couldn't even get the type of jobs I used to get. The harassment had amped up. Everyone on island became privy to my targeting and had access to these cameras that are on me, etc., etc. And so this is what leads to that situation, because this is how it is for all targets. It's a slow build. It starts off with these little, what would seem like minute forms of harassment, and then it amps up and it gets worse, and more people get involved, and you get angrier, and you have more reactions, and then more people get recruited, and then the treatment gets worse, and then the targeting gets worse, and eventually you're ass out. That's what it is. And when I say ass out, y'all, I just mean like to a point where you can't even really take care of yourself. Like, again, figuratively, cut off at the knees, impeded. And so that's why I said what I said in my last reactive abuse video, where I said it's such a toxic program, because it's like they won't let you leave and actually thrive. They will make it so that you can't leave and stand on your own 2 feet and thrive, and they'll keep you here and torture you. Like, this is like this crazy toxic thing, especially in my case where you haven't even committed a crime. All you did was send an innocent text with no malicious intent behind it. And it turned into this snowball effect that led to where I'm at now. It's so crazy, y'all. It's fucking crazy. Anyway, so that's what it is, y'all. You know, and then the last thing, I rebuke it in the name of Yeshua. I keep saying that. I'm not gonna read it. Y'all can see what's on the screen. And that happens to a lot of targets too, by the way. I've done my research on this thing. I've been looking into this thing for the last 2 years. So I know how low it goes and how demonic it is. And this is why I keep saying I get backlash. They make rough campaign and noises whenever I say the thing is demonic, and they get worked up when I say it's demonic. But how could this be anything but that? This is not meant to change people for the better, but for the worse. This is meant to create monsters. This is meant to get some sort of horrible reaction out of people. And if worse comes to worse, the last thing on this list, the latter, which again, I rebuke it in the name of Yeshua, some people aren't strong-minded enough to handle this thing. And so this is why I say this thing is satanic and toxic. Anyway, so that's what it is, y'all. Just keep in mind these last 2 thumbnails I showed you. That is the main thing. When you think about the targeted individual program, I want y'all to think about these 2 thumbnails. This thumbnail here that you see on the screen that I just went over, and the last one that said reactive abuse. There's one more thing I wanted to read on the last thumbnail. Let me go back there real quick. Look at the bottom right. It says reactive abuse, and there's like a periwinkle purplish background. It says, under any extremely toxic situation, your responses are coming from a place of reaction because you're exhausted with the situations abusers have created. So that is what it is. You're exhausted with the same thing I have been saying, the 24/7 harassment and covert illegal surveillance. And then you have these explosions randomly. It might seem random, but it's not. It's never random. You finally explode, and you start thinking a few nasty thoughts. Again, my explosions aren't even nowhere near as bad as they could be. The way they be getting on top of me when I have these reactions eventually to the harassment, it's just something they want to do. They're mad. They're sitting there mad and staring at me and looking for something and some reason to start doing what they do. I'm telling you. Because there are moments where I'm not even having any sort of reaction, and I go to the gym and I work out, or I go to the basketball court and I have a good day and I make a lot of shots, and they're getting pissed. So anyways, so let me talk about what happened today, y'all, because I don't want this video to be too long. Hold on. So anyway, y'all, so today, all day today, you know, as usual, staring at me, and I was hearing slight noise campaigns. Unfortunately, I've talked about this in prior videos, y'all. They will use workers to noise campaign you. So you'll have actual workers. Sometimes they'll actually set up these little fictitious jobs just so there can be workers around to noise campaign you. I've experienced that as well, and I know you have too. But also there are times where there are workers authentically doing work that know about the program and have access to the cameras that are on you, and they will noise campaign you while they're doing the job that they're there to do. And so in this case here, right now in the neighborhood, I believe these workers are truly working. I don't think they were set up. There's too many of them, and I'm actually seeing the road getting dug up and stuff. And there is some sort of issue with the public water. So I don't think they're wasting resources to that extent where they have all these workers coming into the neighborhood, digging up the road just to noise campaign me. I can tell they're authentically there doing work. But off and on, they're doing little noise campaigns throughout the day to harass me and irritate me. It's actually not as bad as it could be. I actually thought it was going to be worse when I noticed them all in my neighborhood. I was like, shit, you know, I'm just like expecting the worst. It's really not as bad as I thought the thing was going to be. But still off and on, they're doing little noises, and eventually it gets irritating. So today, this is what was going on. You know, I got up. It was just one of those days where I was sleeping in and out of sleep, trying to get rest because I have work tonight and stuff. I decided I was going to make some meal prep, right? I know how to cook, y'all. I like cooking food, right? I used to cook way more when I had my apartment, and when I, you know, they have people on top of me staring at me and stuff. Like in the apartment, I used to cut my fingers up because that was when I first realized I was being watched on camera. This was in 2022, before I realized that I was a target. This was before I tried to relocate off island, when I still had my apartment, when I still had more going for myself. I was still teaching. I had the car, blah, blah, blah. I was cooking up a storm in that apartment, even though I realized they were watching me on camera and they're doing all kind of noise outside of my apartment. What happened is I didn't stop cooking, but what happened is I used to like cut myself because I would get so bassity. And remember, bassity just means flustered, y'all. Because I know they're watching me and they'd be outside my door literally snickering, all kinds of stuff, y'all, stomping on the roof, like all kinds of stuff at my apartment. And so while I'm cooking, you know, I know that they're watching me. I had already figured out at this point that they're watching me on camera. I hadn't figured out I was a target yet, but realized I was being watched on camera, that was how far the thing had went. Whenever I'd be cooking, I'd be chopping up like vegetables, onions and stuff, and I'd chop my, you know, keep cutting my finger and stuff. I had so many Band-Aids on my fingers and stuff from cutting myself when cooking, but still I would cook. That's all I'm trying to say. I would still cook, man. I like to cook. I grew up in a household where people cook. Both of my parents know how to cook. My grandparents knew how to cook. My grandma was from Trinidad. She really knew how to cook. Got aunts from Trinidad. So it's like this thing where we grew up knowing how to cook, or at least knowing how to throw something together to fend for ourselves. This is how we were raised. And sometimes the woman in the house, take turns cooking for the household. That's how it used to be. Things are not the same anymore. I'm targeted now. I have people staring at me. I have people in the house that live with me staring at me and doing noise campaigns at times. You know, they've created all these creepy ass narratives that I told y'all about what happened last year. You know, check out my other reactive abuse videos. Check out my part 1, my part 2, and my part 3 reactive abuse videos. Again, before you listen to this one. I said that at the beginning of the video. I'm saying it again now, if you still chose to sit through and listen, right? Please at least check those videos out, and check out my story before you listen to this video. Even if you're all the way to this point now, or at least if you choose to listen to this video first, listen to those videos to get some context and some background on what's going on with me and what I'm talking about or referencing. Anyways, with some of the false narratives they started to create last year, I just started feeling uncomfortable about doing anything for anyone in my close circle, because they were blaming me for everything bad that was happening with everyone in my close circle. You know, I'm making it seem like I was doing some sort of like witchcraft or some sort of spiritual something, simply because I thought witchcraft was done on me. And so in my full story, I authentically, transparently talked about why I thought witchcraft was taking place. You know, again, to understand the level of confusion I felt when I created my first video. At that point, I hadn't learned about the shadow networking software. I had not learned about how high science this program is and how it's, you know, all AI. I hadn't learned that yet. So for me, a lot of the things that were taking place seemed like some sort of weird, astronomically, you know, anomalous thing. You know, it just seemed strange and like some sort of weird spiritual whatever. And so I thought some sort of witchcraft was on me. You know, all in the States when I tried to relocate in 2022, and I was creating those, I was watching those videos in my vehicle, or I was listening to the radio, and everything I was putting on had some sort of reference to that nasty false narrative that was created from me sending the text. Remember the sexual predator thing that we've, you know, already knocked down and cleared in these other videos. Again, just spitefulness, y'all. Another one of those things that was created out of spite, but then started to actually turn into a thing when I tried to relocate. Like, I almost got framed, y'all. Especially when I was in Florida. I almost got framed with this technology because they already had it in for me. When I left Indiana, they were already using the technology on me, and I didn't realize it. From the time I had that interaction with that homeless guy on the bus, and then I came off and had that interaction with the police officer that led to the helicopters and the ambulances and the fire trucks following me, they had it in for me from then. So when I got down to Florida, this was prior to me ever sharing any offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda. They already had it in for me. And then I started sharing the Hebrew Israelite propaganda out of anger because they were using the shadow networking software on me and constantly throwing things about sexual predators at me and everything that I was watching and listening to. And I didn't understand that they had the technology to do this. I hadn't learned that yet. So for me, it just felt like witchcraft. And then all these people staring at me as usual, and all the vehicles around judging and trying to, freaking get involved in the targeting. I was angry. I don't need to keep saying, I know what I'm saying is understandable. It's at this point, like, I don't need to keep explaining myself. And I've already apologized for the things I said too. But nonetheless, this is why I thought it was something spiritual going on. This is why I still think, to be quite real with you, something spiritual is going on. But I'm not pinpointing any one person, and I don't really know who did what. I came into contact with so many people in my early 20s. My sister and I, we let so many people in our circle. We were so open. We had so many different friends from different walks of life with different belief systems, and some of them dabbling in stuff that we don't really dabble in or deal with. Right. And so it's like we opened the door to a lot of people, and a lot of things in our life in our early 20s. So it really could have come from any direction, and not necessarily the roommate. It could have come from there, too, any direction. And even when I made my full story, I never actually accused my roommate of doing that. I said I suspect that it could have been her. In every video I talked about the thing, I never said she did this. I never did. I never straight up accused that girl. And I never said her name either. I never said who she was. I just told my story, talked about my history with her, some of the strange things that took place when we were living with her, and why I thought she could have possibly been where, if some sort of witchcraft was happening to me, she could have been the source where it came from. She could have been. I was very clear about the fact that I had no proof, or at least not any concrete enough proof to hardcore accuse and say she did this. I was just saying, I think something spiritual is going on, and this might be where it came from. I also talked about some other girls my sister and I had befriended in our early 20s that were proclaimed brujas, witches. And we didn't know that until later in the friendship. That was what led to the friendship dissipating. And at that point, I had already, they had already been in our environment, in our space. My stupid ass, one time I laid down and let them do some sort of lucid dreaming thing on me. I didn't know they were witches. It wasn't until later on in the friendship, I want to say like a year and a half, maybe, into the friendship, when they started to open up and kind of show us more stuff and really tell us what they were into. Because initially, they were telling us that they were Egyptologists, so they didn't necessarily subscribe to the Bible. They made it seem like they were open to the Bible, but that they didn't necessarily subscribe to it, which we didn't mind, because we know different people have different religions. This is why I keep trying to say, I've never been the person to push my beliefs on somebody, and I've never been the person that's been ignorant or closed-minded. That's never been me. I kind of wish I were more closed-minded, because I wouldn't have opened myself up to so many different people back in the day when I did. But anyway, so that's what they were telling us at first, that they were Egyptologists, and it wasn't until later down the line when they started getting comfortable with us that they started revealing more things to us and basically openly telling us that they were witches. And so I've encountered all kinds of people, y'all. So it's like very possible that something spiritual is going on. It's like I'm not crazy. I sat up and I grew up in a household where that was an understanding that those things do exist, that there is a spiritual element to life. I know people that have dealt with that stuff. Like I said, those girls, I know other people too here on the island. I don't want to say too much, that have dealt with that stuff, and I told them to keep it away from me. So I know these things exist. It's not like a thing where I'm just making up hooba-jooba stuff in my head like a nut. I grew up in the islands where that's an understanding that exists. My grandma was from Trinidad. She used to tell us scary stories about it all the time. And so that was why in my head, when all this weird shit was happening with the AI, and I didn't know that it was AI, I didn't know that that's what they were using, the high science technology. For me, I'm just like, nah, this is witchcraft. Somebody did something, because I know for a fact I didn't do anything. But all these videos are playing and the radio's playing, and everything that I'm playing is saying stuff about sexual predators and, all these people driving by. Like, look, there's a gang stalker driving by slow right now. Look at the time, y'all. Look at the time. It's 3:37 a.m. Why is somebody driving by at this hour and not in their bed if you're not working a job? This is why I said the thing is spiritual. It's like literally inhabiting the people around. It's like the movie Fallen. It's literally like the real life version of the movie Fallen. I've seen other targets talk about it too. It's some weird thing in the earth right now. And it's like hopping in the bodies of certain people. It's creepy, man. Anyway, so I know I didn't do anything. And all of this weird shit is going on where on the radio, I'm hearing stuff about sexual predators. Every video that I'm putting on is talking about sexual predators. I try to turn to the most high and putting on spiritual videos for protection, not looking up anything offensive yet. That's what happened after. That was a reaction, reactive abuse. And everything I'm putting on, even the scriptures, talking about things from the darkness coming to light and drunkenness and this. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm having these anxious reactions because all these people are staring at me and laughing by and acting crazy. And the more that these reactions are happening and the more that they're throwing this stuff at me and everything that I put on, the more the gang stalkers are going crazy in the background. And I'm certain they didn't know about the AI shadow networking software either. This is how they frame people. I can only imagine the amount of targets that likely got framed with this technology if they were not, able to figure out what was going on. So anyways, that was what led to me coming home. Eventually, I came back to the island I tried to relocate off of and telling my story because I was like, this is craziness and I need to tell my story. And so I sat there and I told my story. And that was what led to me mentioning certain people because they made it seem like they keep trying to, again, gaslight me and paint it like I'm this person just sits up on my ass and talks bad about people like a Wendy Williams, or if y'all are familiar with Married to Medicine, a Dr. Heavenly. I've never been that type of person. I'm very quiet. I stay to myself. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm mum, right? You have to freaking it's like squeezing water out of a rock to get anything out of me. I'm such a quiet person. I'm only now at age 32. And when did my video start? About 2 years ago, age 30 or 31, whatever. Only now did I start really opening my mouth and saying anything about anyone. And it's not just random people either. It's all people that tie into my story that I felt like I needed to talk about because I thought at the time witchcraft was on me. So I was just talking about some of the strange things that had happened to me even prior to my targeting and some of the people I encountered and why I felt like, well, maybe this is witchcraft. Again, I reiterate, I did not know about the AI shadow networking technology at the time. So even more so back then, I was like, damn, this shit, this must be witchcraft. This is what I thought. Low-key still kind of feel that way. I'm not sure. I think maybe my lack of faith maybe made something work if something was done. Or my belief in it made it work. I don't know. But I know something weird is going on. That's what I can say. For this level of punishment for this long, for innocently sending a text, and then these stupid, crazy things keep happening while I'm being stared at on camera, which create more reactions that create a deeper pit. To me, it feels like witchcraft. My love life impeded, my financial life impeded, never did anything to get in trouble. I have all this freaking experience on my resume. I graduated magna cum laude. It's just not making sense to me. So anyways, something weird is definitely going on. I don't care what anybody says, something strange is going on. Anyways, y'all. So we have another gang stalker driving by. Let me make sure that's what's going on. Yeah, another gang stalker at this hour of the morning at 3:40 a.m. Anyway, y'all, let me finish what I'm saying because, it's like beating a dead horse. Whenever you're targeted and you're thrown in this thing, you just have endless people like zombies against you, and you could be talking like Charlie Brown, like womp, womp, womp. It doesn't matter if you're making sense. It's like the movie Fallen. It's just... Anyways, moving on. I forgot what I was going to say, though. So that was why I mentioned the witchcraft thing, though, in my story. Because, it's not a tangent. Everything I said was relative, but I did kind of start to trail off and lose focus. So that was what led to me talking about the witchcraft thing when I told my story at the end of 2022. And then at the beginning of 2023, I got so desperate and I lost faith. I've been praying and I felt like the Most High wasn't hearing me. I felt like all these things were happening to me and it only kept getting worse rather than better. I was like, nah, man, and again, too, hadn't learned about the AI shadow networking software yet. Had not learned about it. And so I was even more so back then certain that it was some sort of witchcraft or something. I got so desperate that I went and I started looking at return to senders books because I had heard from a cousin of mine that you could return, if somebody put something on you, you could return it back to them. I don't believe in dabbling in witchcraft. I've never dabbled in my life aside from reading that book, because apparently reading it in and of itself is, I think, considered dabbling in. I've already repented for it. I've already admitted it. I did it in the big open in front of everyone. It actually created more problems for me. I guess that was judgment from the Most High. But I really felt like something was on me. So I downloaded this thing, right? I downloaded this return to sender book because it's something I had heard from my cousin about being able to return if somebody put something on you. They started treating it like I had done witchcraft, like I had done black magic. From the research I've done, a return to sender book, if you are into magic and you do believe in it, which I don't, I rebuke it in the name of Yeshua. That was my first time ever dabbling in. But I was so desperate, y'all, after what I experienced when I tried to relocate, Then I came back and told my story, and I felt like I was making sense and nobody was listening. I was like, nah, man, this is some sort of witchcraft and nobody's hearing me. The most I ain't answering for some reason. I need to get this off of me is what my thought was back then. I had almost lost my life in the States. I was like, this is some weird shit and I need to get it off me is what I thought. So I started looking into return to senders because of something my cousin had told me. And again, like I said, from the research I've done, that's considered white magic, not black. So that's the hilarious thing about it all. Even if I were dabbling in like actually doing the spells in the book, which I did not do. I only read the book. I didn't do any of the spells in that book. But even if I had chose to do some of the spells in that book, it wouldn't have been to harm anybody. That's not black magic. Return to senders is some sort of form of white magic. So it's like protective spells if you're into that stuff, and I'm not. I was just desperate. I didn't do any of the stuff in the book. I just read the book. They were watching me. They have my brain microchipped. Anyway, so it's not black magic to harm anyone. It's white magic. But anyway, so I downloaded the stupid book and I started reading through the thing, and it was just freaking me out and giving me the creeps. And I still took my stupid ass and I read the whole book, and I saw some of the rituals in the book too. I was like, I'm not doing any of this. I'm like, hell no. It freaked me out, and my fear of hell started to freaking, rise up. I was like, I don't want to do something and end up regretting it and end up really like dirtying my hands for real and ending up in a predicament where I really can't come back from, is how I felt. So after I read it, I deleted the thing. They saw me do it. They were, at this point now, I realized that my brain has been microchipped. They were hearing my thoughts. They just weren't letting me know yet. They know I didn't do nothing. They know I didn't do anything. Excuse me. I read the Return to Sender book. I saw that there was some creepy stuff that you had to do. And I said, nah, I'm not doing this. I deleted the book right away off of my Kindle. There was a point last year where I actually downloaded, I did once some digging and stuff to find the book, to download it again, just to refute some of the stuff they started trying to create after I downloaded that stupid book and read it. Because of what I said, remember what they do with the technology. They're very good at what they do with the technology and with framing people. And they'll take whatever it is that you say out of your own stupid mouth, and they'll use it against you and create false narratives. I gave them so many bullets to shoot me, figuratively, with my own mouth and my own story and just being honest and transparent. They took that and they used it and they weaponized it against me. And so it became this narrative, like all these crazy, freaking weird ass narratives last year that had me so freaking traumatized and terrified, especially if you take into consideration that then too, they were hitting me with technology, what I assume to have been radiation. Let me say that I suspect. Let me not bear false witness because I can't concretely prove it. But I already documented what happened, y'all. I documented what took place last year around that time with the technology, where it felt like they were hitting me with radiation. They were hinting to me with the shadow networking software, sending videos, am I recommended on YouTube, talking about radiation poisoning, etc. I kept getting those videos thrown at me in my newsfeed. And then I was experiencing what, somebody that's dealing with radiation would experience. The weight loss, the dark circles under my eyes, the burning sensation, the headaches, the projectile vomit, etc., etc. And so this is what I started to experience. As soon as I said that, y'all, a police officer drove by. Anyways, I'm not going to say anything negative about the police because I think that's the intention. Like, what happens with this thing, and then you see police cars and stuff, like, it could lead to somebody seeming like they're anti-police because, unfortunately, this program is a government program. So even if you're not somebody that's anti the government, this is a facet of the government. And so it might seem like you're anti-government because you're anti the program and what's happening to you. And that's not the case. And for a while, they were trying to paint this false narrative like I'm somebody that's anti-government and anti-police. And that's never been the case. I've always been respectful towards law enforcement and towards the government. I even worked for the government, and I actually attempted to join the military. I was trying to become an officer in the Air Force, and I changed my mind. This was prior to me having any motive. I wasn't a target yet. I was about to graduate magna cum laude, and I just had heard about the Air Force and some of the benefits and that they help pay for school and stuff. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I could actually, now that I'm graduating, become an officer. And so I was in communication with a sergeant. I have a video posted on this channel where I showed those emails. I'm not pulling it up right now. But I'm just saying that to say I don't have an issue with the government, and I never did. But I do have an issue with this program. And so it is what it is. And unfortunately, they do use like police cars, ambulances, well, they don't use helicopters here on island, but they do in the States. They use a little plane down here. Anyway, so this is what was going on, y'all. I strongly suspect I was being hit with radiation. Again, can't concretely prove it, but I'm 99.999% sure that that's what took place. So there was a level of fear and trauma and PTSD that came with these false narratives that they started creating about the witchcraft. Because now I'm associating it to you using that as an excuse to like harm me physically. And so the level of fear and the level of trauma and PTSD that I had from those accusations far surpassed the initial accusation, the nasty thing about the children or whatever, the text message thing that was created out of spite. My fear about the witchcraft thing far surpasses that because of what I went through last year, PTSD and trauma. Anyway, so along with all the other false things they started creating back then, they also tried to paint it like the twitch that happens with my mouth, which I've already proven is neurological. And at this point now, because of PTSD and trauma and them sensitizing me to it, it's psychological as well. So it's physiological. This thing that's happening with my mouth, they tried to create some sort of false narrative like I was chanting, or every time my mouth is doing it, it's me doing witchcraft. Like, it's just stupid shit. When they're listening to my thoughts, y'all, with the neuromonitoring technology, they are listening to my thoughts. They can hear that no thought is happening in my head when the thing is happening. They're still just out of spite to traumatize me, making me feel sensitized to my mouth twitching. And so that created this weird tick with my mouth where it got worse. And I already showed you all in the part 3 video why I showed you all, excuse the stammering, y'all. I showed you all in the part 3 that you see on the screen, targeted individual reactive abuse video. I showed y'all why I think it's neurological. I showed y'all that this is actually a side effect of the technology. I have a diagram from DARPA. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. I'm sorry. That soda I drank earlier. That was released at a freedom of speech press conference. And on this diagram, you can actually see that that's a symptom of the technology is your jaw twitching. Like, that's actually a symptom of the technology. Your hip twitching. This is TMI, sometimes your private parts. Like, all crazy shit this thing can do to your body, man. This technology. It makes all parts of you twitch and just weird tics and all this other weird stuff that I wasn't experiencing prior to leaving Island. Like, my targeting has gotten like 1,000,000 times worse. Me trying to relocate off Island was like the worst decision I could make, or at least me doing so without knowing that I was a target. I don't really know. It was like the worst decision I could have made because of what actually ended up transpiring from that thing. Anyway, so now, I forgot why I was talking about the mouth twitching. Oh, because I just want to explain to you why I don't want to cook for anybody in my house. This is what I'm trying to get to. So they create all these false narratives and, I'm being accused of taking, I have one person asking me if I'm taking stuff out her room and, every time my mouth twitches, they're making noises, stirring at my mouth, it's to the point where it's like I wear a mask over my mouth often just so that the twitch won't happen. And funny enough, that's to tell you a lot of it is really mental. It doesn't happen as much when I have the mask over my mouth. It does happen still, but nowhere near as much. Nowhere near as much. So I believe it's neurological, but also psychological. It's some sort of physiological effect that's taking place. So anyway, so with them doing all of that, all these narratives that they created last year about me doing stuff, and every time something bad is happening with one of them, they're low-key like throwing subs at me and creating these narratives like it's me. I just kind of didn't want to do anything for them. Like, as far as cooking goes, especially, like, I don't want to, cook something for you and then now something happened to you, or God forbid, some everyday life thing. And she cooked, for me on this day. And, I do not want to do it. I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I'm not, I used to cook all the time. I can show you on my Facebook. I have like all kinds of, I have like this whole highlight with food I was cooking in my apartment. I like to cook food, but I don't mind, if I buy stuff. I don't have much money right now and I'm trying to bulk up, y'all know I'm into bodybuilding and stuff. So that's difficult too. And I'm not getting food stamps anymore. But I don't mind buying a few items for the house, or I don't mind if I buy something, putting it out there and you cooking it. But if I cook, I'm cooking for me and me only. I don't care if that looks selfish because I know what I've been through and I know why I'm doing it. But they still keep trying to like gaslight me about it, not understanding why it is that I don't want to cook for anyone. They're gaslighting me about it and getting an attitude with me and throwing subs at me about only cooking for myself. And then I'm hearing noise campaigns in the neighborhood. And this is what leads to me talking about these workers that are in the neighborhood now. So today I decided I was going to get up. This is also what's led to me not eating as much as I'm supposed to, because I keep constantly feeling uncomfortable about getting up and only cooking for myself, when I have someone else in my close circle in the household that does it too. She cooks meals for herself. She meal preps. She started copying me because it's easier, she realized, to meal prep. She cooks for herself too. The only difference is sometimes she'll cook for everyone when she's doing it. Not always, but sometimes she will. So it doesn't look as bad on her. But for me, when I'm doing it, I'm literally just only cooking for myself. At most, I'll put the food out there and let you cook it. I'll pay for it and you cook it. But I'm not cooking for anybody but me, because of what's taken place and what I've been through at this point. And what's still happening. I look at the reactive abuse videos I just created. They were just recently trying to push more stuff at me about someone in my close circle. So I'm not really trying to cook anything for anyone but myself. So anyway, today I finally got up and I said, I'm going to cook my food, man. I had some pasta there and I had some salmon there for the longest time. I was like, I need to get up and make this thing. And I didn't feel like getting up and doing it. And so I finally got up today. I said, okay, let me do it. Let me make it. I got up and I chopped up some stuff and I made some salmon balls and I made some pasta. I'm hearing them in the neighborhood, revving up and doing all kind of noise and just irritating me. And so that started the irritation I was feeling. It started there. Then I went in the shower and I come out and I'm getting dressed. And there's this neighbor that likes to hammer the hammer when I'm putting my clothes on. And it's this new thing that this person started doing where they're doing it excessively now. Like they've been doing it since I moved into the neighborhood last year. The hammer thing. And it's not just when I'm getting dressed. They just do it in general. They like to hammer to irritate me. But it's like this new thing where they're purposely doing it when I'm getting dressed and like trying to get under my skin. And so that was what led to me having this nasty thought as I was getting dressed to go to the basketball court. I started thinking these nasty thoughts, like they're staring at you all day, with this weird shit. Whatever I was thinking, something along those lines. It's not like I was cussing like the other morning where I was calling everybody bitches, and not everyone, but the gang stalkers that were harassing me, that I was calling them bitches and whatever else in my head. It wasn't that bad. I just and have all these workers in here on top of me. This is what I was thinking as I was getting dressed for the basketball court. I was like, I have all these workers on top of me watching me all day making noises. And it wasn't just them. Again, it was also the neighbor that keeps hammering, that's been doing it excessively, was hammering as I was getting dressed. All of that led to that reaction and those thoughts I was thinking. So as I'm thinking those thoughts and getting annoyed, as I'm leaving the house now, the workers now riled up. They were already doing noise campaigns today, like I said, but it wasn't super bad, but it was bad enough to where I was annoyed. I wear my earphones too, by the way, y'all, so I can block out a lot of it. But sometimes, the earphones come out, and then this is why I hear the bullshit. And then my earphones are messing up too. I need to get some new ones on Friday when I get paid. Anyway, so as I'm walking to the basketball court, the workers are driving by me with, the truck and, just doing extra stuff. There was this one worker that, this older guy, he stopped purposely and then drove past me and then he's going to wave at me, because I was irritated and he waved at me, and that kind of disarmored me a little bit, because I am the kind of personality where it's hard for me to be mean to people. I've gotten real good at being mean now with the things they do. I've gotten real good at being mean now. But it's hard for me to be mean to somebody if they're being nice to me. And so even though I knew he was gang stalking, because he waved at me, it kind of disarmored me. And then it was just I kind of did a half wave at him. I didn't really know what to do. But anyway, as I'm walking, I'm hearing the revving outside of the neighborhood. Everybody outside heard my thoughts. Remember, like I said, they're staring at you, waiting for just the slightest thing so they can hop on you. I'm hearing the revving outside in the road. I'm like, oh God, it's going to be one of these kind of days. Just because I thought those few thoughts in my head, because I'm being stared at and I have no privacy. So now I'm walking, and I believe the noise campaigns, the reason I brought up the story about not wanting to cook for people, y'all, is because I believe they were doing the noise campaigns on me while I was cooking, because I didn't cook for anyone in my household. Because my dad even came out while I was cooking, and he said, how many times did you eat today? He said, you're getting greedy, man. He said, you're eating a lot today. And by the way, it was all my food that I ate today. But the point is, I had got up and I cooked several times and I didn't cook for anybody. And they already recently kind of talked to me about that. And so my dad was like, I keep smelling stuff cooking. And your brothers tell me it's you. You keep cooking, coming out here and cooking stuff. This is what he said. And I said, I'm not eating that much. I said, I really need to be eating more. I'm bodybuilding right now. I'm trying to gain weight. And I said, I'm actually not eating enough. And so he then started cooking something next to me. He never comes in the kitchen and cooks while I'm cooking. He'll always wait till I'm done. We always take turns in the kitchen. It's never where we're in there, because he even cusses. If I have to come in there and get ready for work and he's cooking, he's crawling about you being in the kitchen with him. So it's never this thing where he wants to be in the kitchen with you, cooking with you while you're cooking. That's just not something he does. But I think he was doing that because I had the thought in my head about the workers being on top of me while I'm cooking, making noise campaigns. And then he came out right as I thought that thought. And he said the comment that he made about me cooking every minute. And then he started cooking. And so I just kind of realized it's this thing where I'm pretty sure it was because I didn't cook for the people in the household. I'm pretty sure that's what it was about. And it's gaslighting. Anyway, so I left. As I'm walking to the basketball court now, everybody on the road is riled up. Not everyone. Again, it's not everyone. I have some people driving by slow, and you can tell they're not, like, obviously they know what's going on, but they're not getting involved. But you have the people that are staring at you, actively waiting for a moment to rev up and do stuff. And so it's like a lot of them out there just revving up and doing extra stuff because of what took place before I left the house. So I'm walking to the basketball court and I'm in an irritated mood. I get to the court. Right before I actually got to the court, I'm walking through the neighborhood for the court. I finally got to that neighborhood. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, damn. I said, man, why y'all doing all of this? Again, I thought the same thing I said in my video, the last one, the one you see on the screen, the part 3 video. I said, why don't y'all just, again, like I said, take all the money you're wasting on all of these resources and give it to me so I can take my talents elsewhere and go someplace where I can be productive and where I can thrive. And then everyone is happy. You don't have this person that you find annoying in your presence, and I don't have to be tormented. I can go someplace where I can thrive. And so this is what I was thinking in my head. And it's like it was getting them mad, because then the plane starts flying by, and then I think either they sent this guy by me or he just chose to drive by and get involved. But there was this white guy, and the reason I'm specifically mentioning race, I'm not saying this to be offensive. I'm saying this because typically they'll throw that race at me as a reminder of why things have gotten so bad because of the Hebrew Israelite propaganda I shared in my car in Florida, when again it's gaslighting, because that was reactive abuse, and I've apologized for it. It's not like I'm still sharing that content. But anyway, so then this white guy in this blue Jeep, and I actually couldn't see that he was white at first. I was all the way at the beginning of the road. I'm in the neighborhood for the basketball court. I just saw this blue Jeep flying around the corner super fast. I said, oh, hell no. I said, let me get to the side before this person runs me over. I know they heard my thought. And then when he got closer, I saw that it was a white guy, and I was like, oh, shit. I said, so now they're gaslighting. This is what I thought in my head, because I actually couldn't see the race of the person, the gender, nothing. I just saw that it was a blue Jeep whizzing around the corner, speeding, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay, let me move to the side, because they're getting really riled up today, is what I thought, because they had been revving up in the road too. And so then I was like, let me move to the side before this person runs me over. And then when they got closer, I saw it was a white guy. I was like, okay, so y'all are gaslighting now, because it was literally when I thought, like, why don't y'all just give me the money and let me relocate? Then that's when this guy drives by. And so I'm like, okay, so y'all are gaslighting now. I'm like, so now this is the reminder of the offensive stuff I shared in my car in Florida as some sort of validation for what's happening, even though it was reactive abuse and me reacting to all of these people, thousands and thousands, probably millions of people harassing me in vehicles while I'm just simply trying to watch biblical videos, and then it led to me sharing the offensive stuff. And I've apologized for it 1,000,000 times. So I thought, and I just kept walking about my business. Eventually the white guy drives back around, and he drives by me again. He revs by. I said, okay, as long as he doesn't hit me, we're good to go. So as long as he doesn't hit me, we are Gucci. This is what I thought in my head. I get to the basketball court, I start shooting the hoops. My earphones of all days, today, when all this bullshit is going on, my earphones aren't working. So they're doing all kinds of noise campaigns, and it was messing with me, but I was still making a lot of my shots, and it was pissing them off, and they started revving by more. It was just a lot that was going on. They were like really getting pissed and doing all kinds of noise campaigns and stuff. And so I started to act like a cocky asshole, and this is where them calling me a narcissist, again, the gaslighting comes into play, because when they start doing what they're doing, I start to act like cocky and bitchy. Like, it's this passive aggressive thing where I start acting extra cocky, and it's because what they're doing to me. And then they'll just paint it like I'm this like narcissistic, like cocky person. So I was just like purposely acting like an asshole and shooting the shots and blowing kisses and like, this is for you, and just stupid, dumb, immature stuff. Anyway, so then eventually I got back to the house, y'all, and I was like, I need to make this video, because like, this is again the nonsense, and I feel like it stemmed from some of the noise campaigns. I feel like it stemmed from me cooking for myself. And again, I think they're painting it as this narrative of me being a selfish person, when the people in my close circle knows full well I used to cook for them. We used to take turns cooking, my sisters and I. But it's a whole different thing going on now. First of all, I don't have money like that, but I could cook the food in the house. But also, the narratives that were created, I don't feel comfortable. I do not want to cook or do anything like that for anyone in the house. Like, if you want to use some of the food I buy, okay, cool. I just want to cook for me. And that's where that's coming from. Anyway, y'all, that's it, y'all. I just want to make this video more reactive abuse. This is not going to be part 4, though, y'all. Even though this would seem like a part 4 to the reactive abuse videos I recently posted, this is not going to be a part 4. I don't know what I'm going to title this. I'm not sure what I'll title this video. It's not a part 4, though. I don't know. Maybe I'll just title it Gang Stalking Activity Documentation or something. Anyways, and I still, too, y'all, am not sure if I'm going to keep it private or, if I'm going to keep it public. It for sure is staying on my channel, and I will have it public for at least a week. So hopefully you're one of the people that gets to hear it if I do decide to eventually make it private. But I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this public or not, y'all. I'll decide, whatever floats my boat. Anyway, y'all, more targeted individual shenanigans and more reactive abuse and gang stalking documentation. I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out.